Welcome to our Coffee and Conversation Policing with the People. And our special guest will be the fire chief and some of his staff from fire prevention. So we're going to kick it off now. And thank you for coming.
So, wow, it's loud. Brief update in the police department, because I'm kind of triple booked today. The fire chief and I doing a few things. But I want to thank Team Red for coming in and being our guest speakers this month. I think it's great. Quick update in the PD. We continue to be extremely busy, but things are going really well. I have 2 officers that are coming out of our field training program this month, and I have 2 officers going into the field training program this month. They're lateral transfers. One's from Arizona and one's local. We have 9 individuals. We're getting ready for the police academy. They were all accepted into the Linfield Police Academy, 9 of them, starting February 12th. So they won't be on their own this summer, but hopefully in August, at least for the Falmouth Road Race, they'll be in our FTO program. Again, with town meeting, we're going to be adding a couple of positions to the department that we funded our clinicians through. So right now we're 65 sworn, but we'll be at 67 this July. So I'm hoping for 2 more laterals then as well, and then hopefully do a staffing study and see where your police department needs to be. Both clinicians have started. I just wanted to give you a real brief update on that. They hit the ground running. They've been riding with our officers and really doing some fantastic work, offering some enhanced services to you folks. So one that was really nice that we were able to do is we had an unattended death, and the family member who found the person who passed away was very upset, and our clinician was able to go in and calm that person and give them different services and render them some aid, while another family member came, and also she was even more distraught. So able to really, new tools for our toolbox. So in the officer, Julie Massey was, that's not my wheelhouse, chief, and they did such a good job and so empathetic, and it's just a nice tool for us to have to really help people, which I think is absolutely fantastic. So the great news is next month, the town manager will be here and speak with you folks about some of the initiatives and things that we're doing. And then in March, I'm gonna bring in the clinicians, and you'll meet them and they'll explain to you their programs and their training. Then the select board meeting, I believe it's the 26th or the 29th, whatever that last select board meeting in January. If you get a chance to tune in, or if you wanted to stop by the meeting, I'm going to be introducing a lot of our new officers. We're going to do a swearing in with our new officers to include myself, everyone from July 1st till now. I'm also going to be recognizing 2 officers that I'm giving a life-saving award to. They were dispatched to a medical facility, someone that was suicidal, who had cut themselves pretty bad, holding some broken, jagged glass to the person's throat. They ended up de-escalating the situation and rendering aid there. And I'm going to also introduce our clinicians to the board as well, because this was an initiative that they were very passionate about. So that last select board meeting in January, if you're available, if not, tune in. And with that being said, I'm going to turn the mic over to our illustrious fire chief, Tim Smith.
Thank you.
Nope, that's you. So when we get into some Q&A, just so you all know, it is being filmed by FCTV. I would just make sure your phones are silenced, and one of you can be the...
Good morning. Wow, I'll just do out here. So again, my name's Timothy Smith. I'm the fire chief for the town. To my left is Boyd Demello, who has probably been over here just as much as Lieutenant O'Malley. Both are in the fire prevention office. Craig, Lieutenant O'Malley, is our fire prevention officer, and Boyd is one of our fire inspectors. We have an additional fire inspector, Alan Rivera. So we have a good staff to meet all of the demands and all of the needs associated with fire prevention and fire inspections and such, and we work in conjunction with the building department. They also have dual responsibilities where they assist in fire investigations. So they've gone to quite a bit of training, and when they come to the fire scene to assist, they are there initially to provide some assistance at our command post, and then thereafter they become fire investigators, and that's a very tedious job, as you could probably imagine. And of late, we've had some significant fires in the town of Falmouth. I'm sure that many of you have probably seen that in the news. And I figured I'd start off with that just to kind of give an update with some of our personnel that were injured during one of our recent fires. So I'm sure many are aware that we had a structure fire on the 17th of December that was for us, just a routine fire that we respond to. We have, particular protocols when we respond to a fire. The apparatus gets there, they give a report of what their situation is. It provides a kind of us to follow a script as we're coming up to a fire scene. We find hydrants, we get hose lines in place and such. And the firefighters got there and they gave a report, and it was a contemporary home, a large style home, and there was a significant amount of smoke showing. And when they entered the building, they were advancing a hose line, and one of the floors let loose. And one of our members fell into the basement, and as a result, suffered some significant injuries that were critical at the onset. And eventually, we were able to, through training and quick attention and great communications and everybody working as a team, we were able to get him out of the basement. He was evaluated and was quickly determined that we had to med flight him and put him on a helicopter and send him to Boston. He was in the hospital for over 10 days, and thankfully he's home. He's still got a long road ahead of him. He has to undergo some other evaluations and procedures, but suffice to say, he sustained some pretty traumatic injuries. Also, at the fire scene, we had two other individuals that were injured. We had one firefighter that was in the basement assisting with extricating this member. He was injured, and he's going to probably require some surgery, and probably will be out for a little bit. And another one also had a knee injury, and he's going to be out for a little bit. And that segues us to the fire that we just recently had on New Year's Day, where we had a significant fire on Main Street that went to a third alarm. And for us, a third alarm is pretty significant. A second alarm is pretty significant in the town of Falmouth. But both these fires went to a third alarm, and in fire lingo, that's a situation where you have a very active fire load, and it's affecting the building, and the fire is increasing, expanding, and we have concerns not only for our personnel to try and fight the fire and have enough resources on scene, but we're also worried about the adjoining buildings, what we call exposures. And as you can imagine, if anybody's been down Main Street, that block where the fire was is a significant area that has significant buildings adjoining that fire building, but from what we all know, it's a historical component of Main Street, and we would hate to see something of that significance and age, and how it comprises Main Street to be damaged the way it was. However, in both of our fires, I have to say that my hats are off to all the personnel that were on scene for their quick actions, their professionalism, their training. It all fell into place, and in particular, the fire on New Year's Day, we were able to get in there in quick fashion and contain the fire to one side of the building. We were fully prepared to lose that entire building. We had equipment as far as Hyannis joining us to help what we call a defensive, posture, to try and be prepared if we were going to lose, if the fire was going to continue. and create such a problem that it was going to affect other buildings. So fortunately, the firefighters did a great job, the command staff, they were able to manage it. We did have some civilian injuries that they were taken to Falmouth Hospital. We also had a firefighter that had a minor injury at the onset of the fire. He was treated and released, and he's doing fine. You know, it was a very active scene for us and very manpower and labor intensive, but I can't thank my personnel enough for all that they did and continue to do on a daily basis. So I just wanted to give everybody an update on that, since it is newsworthy. But you know, the town of Falmouth isn't any different than any other town or city in the Commonwealth. We have fires. We may not have them as often as they do, say, in Worcester or Boston, but we do have them, and when we have them, our fires are no different than theirs. The only difference is in some of those cities they have more manpower, but we continue to evaluate our staffing, and we continue to work on having the resources in place to support our firefighters, especially because their safety is paramount to us as well as the community. So we have a parallel when we're coming to work, that we're trying to make sure that everybody's ready for work, and that we're also ready to provide the services that the taxpayers expect in a large community such as this. So that being said, you know, as the police chief noted, he's got a very significant call volume, and there's a lot of activity going on with the police department, and the fire department's no different. We're a very busy organization. I'm sure you hear us coming by here every single day, and it's, you know, I don't know how soundproofing goes for the senior center, but it doesn't matter. We'll make noise. So you'll hear us go by every single day. We're very fortunate that we have a hospital in our community, when, unlike other communities, they have to go to either Falmouth or Cape Cod Hospital. But to have a hospital in our community for our personnel, not only is it a benefit for the citizens, but it's also a benefit for us to get our equipment back in service and our personnel available for the next call. But as you can imagine, our call volume is very active, and a lot of it has to do with the services and the population in the town of Falmouth. We have a lot of housing, we have the schools, we have affordable housing, we have assisted living, we have nursing homes, and there's a litany of things that keep us busy, and we go to quite a few incidences on a daily basis that we go to the same place quite often, and that's just the nature of the town of Falmouth. So based on that, we probably generate anywhere from 25 to 30 calls a day. It all depends on how the day is going, but it's pretty active. And so when you look at a number like that, you say, that's not too big of a number, but it is. It is for us because it's a very active progression for us throughout the day. And there's some days that we have more than that. But thankfully, we have such a great working relationship with everybody in the police department and all the other agencies that we're able to manage it. And to each of you as taxpayers to support the fire department and our personnel, and that's been evident over the last few years through the overrides. We had the 8 persons that were approved for an override, and the recent 14 personnel that were approved for an override. So that number continues to increase, and I believe through our data that we've had a 47% increase in personnel since 2020. And that's significant for us, and we hope to continue to improve that because the services for both police and fire are being, increased, and we need to support both agencies just because of what Falmouth has to offer. It's a great community, and it increases with a lot of people coming to Falmouth as well. So that's about the call volume. We have, just to give you an update, and I don't want to hold anything back from these gentlemen and you, if you have questions. But As many of you know, we have a new fire station that's under construction right now in Hatchville on Sandwich Road over near the rec field and the Unitarian Church. That is currently on time. The construction timeline looks good. The general contractor that we have overseeing the project is phenomenal. They are regularly in touch with us. We have committee members that are active, and that station, right now is looking towards the summertime for completion, substantial completion. So we don't have an end date yet, but it's going to be on time, and we're very excited about that. As the chief mentioned about his personnel and training and such, I have vacancies that we've filled since the summer. We've been actively looking to recruit more personnel, and we've been very successful. We were removed from civil service, and we've been doing our own hiring process, which has greatly enhanced our ability to gain more applicants. So right now I have 7 personnel that are going to the fire academy, which is required as part of their training in another week or so. And then following that, I have 7 more that are going to be going to the fire academy in February. We've offered conditional letters of employment to other members that we've recently interviewed, and we're probably going to be looking for more applicants, and we're going to continue to fill any of the vacancies that we have, which occur through attrition, which is regular in any agency, with retirements and resignations that occur from time to time. But we're staying on top of it, and I have to thank my staff and administrative assistant Kim Strom, who took over from Jill, who used to do the same thing, which she could attest to. It's a very, very active process in trying to get people into the department and managing all that's required to support them. So that's ongoing. We recently placed a new fire engine in service. We had took delivery of it back in October, but it takes quite a bit of time to get it prepped and outfitted, insured, and all that's necessary to make it available for our usage. And as a result of that, that will allow us to put another truck out of service as a reserve, and we're going to need that for the Hatchville Fire Station. I have another fire truck on order, but because of the post-COVID years, the manufacturing world is affecting everybody. And what used to be the ability to order a piece of apparatus or an ambulance and get it within, say, 12 to 24 months is now much more lengthy. So the new fire truck that I ordered actually has a 41-month delivery date. So, but we hope to have that by the end of this year, early 2025. So we positioned ourselves to be able to have the apparatus and an ambulance available for the Hatchville station. And then when we get this new engine, we'll be able to rotate everything and do what we normally do to keep our engines and our ambulances moved around. Also, by virtue of the approval of town meeting members at the November town meeting, we have a new rescue boat that's being that has been designed and is ready to go out for bid. We had to come back and get a little more money because, again, the manufacturing world has increased everything across the board, and it's kind of beyond our control. So we had to kind of delay that a little bit, but we're on track, and that's a phenomenal thing. The rescue boat will be available to be trailered around town. We have a marine boat that is out in the harbor. It's there. It's over by the flying bridge, and it's there in a seasonal capacity. And we take it out of the water generally around December, and we do any type of rehab and servicing for it. And we always have a trailered boat that's available to respond to any of the landings that will give us access to different places in town and/or some of the freshwater areas. So that's underway. I have to replace driveways around our fire stations. We've had a lot of erosion to our concrete in front of 2 of our fire stations, and the DPW, thankfully, is taking care of that because I have no clue on how to do that type of work. So thankfully, we have great resources with our other agencies. So we know what we needed, we asked, and they're assisting us, and again, that was supported at town meeting. We're replacing some stairs at the West Falmouth Fire Station. They were, they're stairs that are required for egress out of the second floor, and the stairs were probably put there around the 60s, we think. So the structure itself is starting to deteriorate, so we are working to do some work there and some other minor work that's necessary for the upkeep of the building. We're also working on obtaining a new backup radio system, which is important for us. The current radio system that we have is kind of managed by the state police, and if that radio system was to go down, we don't have a good backup system. So again, town meeting was good enough to support that project, and we're starting meetings next Tuesday. So we're getting ourselves lined up to start working in that capacity. The other part is we're finalizing one of our major projects, which is an alerting system. I can date myself, but not that far back, but I've been working here since 1987. Boyd and I actually started together on the same day and went to the fire academy together, so we have a pretty good understanding of how things work. But one of the things that the fire department has, which is very, very unique to many other towns and cities in the Commonwealth, is we have what they call a Gamewell fire, fire alerting system, and it's actually an old telegraph system with cables that are run from pole to pole around the entire town. And for years, we alerted our fire stations by just pressing a button and a bell would go off. This goes back to 1913, if you can imagine, and we continue to use it to this day. It's about time that we move forward into new technology, and we've been working on this project for about a year and a half. It's very extensive because the technology needed required us to do a lot of infrastructure buildup, and we're finally close to getting it completed. And then we'll go around and take all the cables off the poles that have been there forever. Nostalgic-wise, we'll kind of miss it because it's always, we had to polish the brass bells all the time when we first got on the job, and now we don't. Now they're all electronic. It's all this new equipment. But every Thursday we had to polish all the brass in the fire station. That's kind of gone away with the horses. So that's a big project coming up, and again, we continue to just to look towards the future. We try and work together as an organization to try and see what we can do to better our operations, to support the community, to work with groups like this to try and educate everybody. And my thanks to the fire prevention personnel, probably over here a lot more than me, to kind of pass along information and to help with any questions regarding anything in your homes and such that are related to fire prevention. I guess the other thing I can say is that as the fire chief, I'm also the emergency management director for the town, so I oversee emergency preparedness. But again, I can't do it alone, and thankfully, I have a lot of great assistance, and we work very actively and quite frequently with all of our other agencies in town. We work with the county, we work with the state, we work with all our partners in the utility systems, Eversource, National Grid, etc. We all work with them, and anytime there's an emergency in town that has to do, generally what we see is mainly storm related, we work very well together to try and manage the issues at hand. And I'm sure most people don't want to hear this, but anytime that we do have an emergency, and I think I had mentioned this at one other meeting, we always look at the critical infrastructure to try and get that online first. So whether it's schools, the government itself, any buildings that support large occupancies, the hospital, we try and get them up and running, and then we work down from there. So I know nobody likes to hear that their road's going to get done last when it's time for plowing, or if your power lines go down. you're kind of lower on the totem pole, but it's the way that, you know, the hierarchy of how things have to be run. But thankfully, we have a great system in place over at the fire department. We have our emergency operations center, and anytime there's a natural or man-made disaster, we will bring it online and have our personnel staff it, and both Craig and Boyd here are always there, and they help to manage it and work with all of the public. So there are phone numbers available and that are put out in advance, and if you needed to call the emergency operations center for an issue, you know, the phone number's available. So we're coming into the foul weather, season. We're lucky we dodged what we did. I'm sure most of the snow is going to be gone by tomorrow, because now we're going to have a big rain and windstorm coming in Tuesday to Wednesday. So be prepared for that. But to me, I'm glad it's getting rid of the snow. The other stuff, we'll deal with it. But goodbye snow. Unless there's some snow lovers here, then sorry. But we expect that, we're not going to be void of any type of storm activities, in the next few months, but we were pretty good last year. We didn't really have a lot of activity, but regardless, we're there to manage. If you have any questions, we certainly can get information for you. If Jill wants to pass things along, we can get that information, and these gentlemen here can, they can stop by and help out in one of the groups. But we're here to provide information, to help, provide, the support you need, especially if there's shelters or any other things that you're concerned with during a major storm. But the one thing I did want to pass along is that, being prepared and knowing what you need to do well in advance is going to save the day. Waiting to the last minute for any type of storm activity to find out what's needed is going to hamper your ability to get the assistance that you need, because if there's 30 inches of snow outside your home, there's 30 inches of snow that are going to stop us from getting there. So we would prefer that, that you do pay attention, that all of the resources that are available to you through social media, through the senior center with their, I say, call blasts, if that's how you want to call them, that you take advantage of that. And if we were to bring a shelter online, which takes a lot, then we would ask that if you're going to take advantage of a shelter, that you get there early. Otherwise, utilize your families to kind of give you the comfort and the shelter that you need, and being together instead of being by yourselves, because that's where we get a lot of the phone calls when there's a storm. So being ahead of the game is probably preferred, and we'll do what we can if there's an emergency. But you can understand that, during storms, we're very busy, and we also hampered by, any type of trees down, power lines down, snow, etc. So, but we'll do what we can. So with that being said, I probably talked too much, and you probably like my accent anyways. I could probably go on all day, but I won't. So, how does this work, Joe? We're going to questions from people, or can have Craig do what he does best and support me?
Yeah, we'll get in, we can get into some Q&A here on
Sure.
any topics. They'll
Yes.
bring a
Oh.
microphone to you.
Craig's the mic holder. Yes, sir. Yesterday. No, it was not a prank. I believe it potentially was a detector issue. Yeah, we don't get many pranks in town. They're usually, yeah, no, especially at the church. We don't want that hanging over our shoulders, But generally, when we have alarms in buildings, it's generally as a result of a malfunction, or that's because of a faulty smoke detector or heat detector, or it's, in many instances, it's as a result of cooking smoke, or a steam from a shower. So most of the alarms that we get are, to us, aren't really false. The detector did what it was supposed to do, or it was malfunctioned. But, no, but, you know, I would like to say that maybe they were doing incense, but I know the church doesn't do it that often on a date. You know, they only do it for certain occasions, if I remember rightly. My mother called me a heathen because when I got older, I was a lazy Catholic, so.
I have a question about, say if you call 911 and you want to reach the fire department, how fast does the call get to the fire department? Does it go first to a police dispatch or something, or how fast?
So
Let's get
the town of Falmouth is associated with the Barnstable County Sheriff's Office, which is our regional emergency communications center. They're the 911 call taker. So any assistance through 911 for police or fire goes to the center first, and then they instantly transfer it. It's a very quick action on the part of the dispatcher up there, but they have to, you know, determine what the nature of the emergency is, and then they quickly send it off. Both Boyd and I worked as communications telecommunicators up at the county for about 11 years. We were 911 call takers, so we were used to doing that. But it's a very quick process. And then when it's answered over here in the communications center at the police station for both police and fire, which is where the dispatching occurs for those two public agencies. It's a very quick process.
And you think they'll know your address and your phone number and where you are?
Yes.
Fine,
So,
okay.
and they have what they call Annie and alley information. The alley is the automated location indicator, and the Annie is automatic number indicator. So not only do you get the phone number, like for you get like your caller ID on your phone, same thing happens here, but they also get the address. So, but everything's got to be confirmed, because you always want to make sure that the actual information that they're looking at is what the person's asking for. And there is now the availability that if you were on your cell phone in your backyard, that they can look at a plot right where you are. So if you fell in your backyard, they would probably be able to pinpoint you a little better than in years gone by. So it's a very, very technical system that is a benefit for all of us in the Commonwealth. Yes, sir.
So just really quick with that. About 5 years ago, it was a lot longer of a process if you called 911 via your cell phone, where it had to be answered by the state police and then go to the county and then to the local dispatch center. It is now, it goes directly to the county. So it saves us a step and precious seconds. But always, anyone that's lived in town long enough knows that there is a 10-digit phone number for for an emergency number that was published for years. Always call 911 because of the location ability, that if you call from landline or through a cell phone, that the dispatcher has the ability to know where you are.
Yes, sir.
They determined the cause of New Year's Day fire yet?
I don't know, did you?
We have not had the final decision on what it is. It was an accidental fire, but we haven't pinned down the exact cause of it. We worked with the state police that day, and then we've been working with the private fire investigator that works for the insurance company, or the couple of the different ones that work for the different insurance companies.
Craig, in the back. You're going to keep an eye on the time so we don't get you in trouble.
Hi, I had a question. I think it was answered. I had gotten some miscommunication because, being a senior citizen, some fire department had said that they could help change my smoke detector batteries. And then I was told that was not possible. But if you're not working, which is what my situation is, can you still call to get help with that? For alarm
Anytime that your smoke detector goes off, if you're not cooking, if that wasn't the cause of it, you know exactly what it was. If they do go off, then call 911 and we can send somebody out to investigate on why your alarm went off. We don't have the resources to go and change the batteries in everyone's smoke detectors, unfortunately.
Yeah, generally, you can have two types of detectors, smoke detectors. They're either battery or they're battery that are electrical as well, and they're, throughout the house. And these gentlemen are more familiar with the code because it changes a lot. But in most instances, if you need to update your detectors or you have problems, it's best to contact an electrician and make sure that they're all up and running and make you more secure as well, so that you have peace of mind if they would ever, be needed. Yes, sir. Well, the issue with liability is daily. We're always looking at, where we need to address things to make improvements and what we need to do forecasting wise. For example, when we do our budget, it's generally long, there's a short term, but there's a medium and a long term. And we consistently have to evaluate, and in particular, most of our equipment. That's where we see, some of the, the work necessary to ensure that all of our equipment is up to date. We have certain standards that, like our fire apparatus, is, has a time frame attached to it because of the use and the safety components. As you can imagine, if you buy a car today, 5 years from now, there's going to be another car that has completely different components and technology attached to it, and you're already behind the curve. And when you go to get another car, there's more doodads and things that are available that you didn't have before. I used to like rolling down my window, and now you can't get a car without having to press a button. But as far as liability, we're always evaluating what's necessary to provide the safety for our personnel and the community itself. So for us, we'll continue to try and advocate for more personnel. We'll continue to advocate for new technology through, replacing our equipment. As you can imagine, it's a very expensive process. Equipment is not cheap. It just goes with the nature of the beast for us. But, fire equipment that our personnel wear, it now has to have more standards related to cancer awareness because of, I'm sure everybody here has, heard about the forever chemicals or PFAS. That's a real problem for us. So in time, we're trying to improve things to lessen, our liability for personnel. So we want to make sure that they're safe and that we have a good investment with our personnel and that they can get through their career in a safe fashion. So it's an ongoing thing, but it's voluminous, but there is some passion involved with doing this job, and we still enjoy coming to work.
Yes, you're
Oh, okay. I just live in a small 4-room house, all one level, and I need to replace the, oh my goodness, the carbon monoxide detector, and I'm just wondering if you can recommend a certain brand or type. It's battery operated now.
there are a couple major brands, and I would just stick with a major brand. First Alert, Kitty, just something like that. And you probably don't want to just go on like Amazon and get the cheapest one, because it may even say that name brand on it, but it might not actually be that one. You want to get one that, is a recognizable name, and that it is listed either Most of them are UL listed.
I'm just curious about how many of your calls are for the ambulance.
That was interesting.
I live on 28A, so I see many, many ambulances go by and not very many fire trucks, and I was just wondered what the statistics are, how many calls you get.
So I understand you see more ambulances than you see fire trucks? Surprise. No, well, this is common across the fire service in the U.S. The majority of calls that fire departments respond to are medical. It's dependent on where you are, but I could probably safely say that probably about 75% of all the call volume that a fire department responds to is medical in nature. Not every fire department runs an ambulance. You know, on the Cape, all the fire departments run the ambulance service, so it's and it works well for us. So all of our personnel are cross-trained, but the other 25% is generally related to a lot of what we call all hazards responses. So we respond to alarms for, you know, the detectors going off for smoke in a house, gas smells, water leaks in the homes. Then we go to dumpster fires, car fires, grass fires, brush fires, arcing electrical lines and the power lines, and we do have the structure fires that you know, we don't see on a frequent basis, but we see them enough that you know, that comprises that other 25%. So for us, we have 4 ambulances that are in service, so they respond within their districts, and they kind of cross over when one district's busy. The other one will come by, so sometimes you'll see a lot of different vehicles responding, because in East Falmouth, we have a fire engine and an ambulance that's staffed, and if the ambulance goes out and they're busy, then the fire engine will go to the medical call, and an ambulance will come, say, from the from the headquarters district or North Falmouth or Woods Hole, and they respond. So it's called tiered response, and it allows us to make sure that we have somebody there as quick as possible. So if you have a call for an ambulance and the fire truck pulls up, don't be alarmed. The ambulance is on its way. It's just that we'll send the nearest equipment first there to help out. So that's why you might see all these vehicles cruising all over the place once in a while, and it's can be noisy. I agree, but in a good way. We kind of like it. Yes, sir.
Oh, hold on one second before you let me get the microphone, because FCTV is filming, so they can't hear the question unless they have the microphone.
Yes, I have a question on how you're kept aware of street closures so that emergency vehicles get the right route.
So that's a great question. We're dependent upon the police department and the DPW, who work together. You'll see a police officer that's on a detail. And if it's going to be a significant closure, they'll notify us, and we'll seek other routes. Like, as everybody knows, and I'm sure everybody's been annoyed, you come down Jones Road and you have to take a left. That's a big project. So we in the fire department were actually involved in the presentations from Eversource, because that project is literally going to take months to do. They're going to run electrical lines all the way to the bike path. They're going to take a left at the bike path. They're going to then cross over Locust Street. They're going to go down Mill Road, and they're running cables over to the Vineyard. It's a long project, and as a result, there's going to be a lot of traffic issues. As far as other streets that may be hampered because of a closure, because if it's a private development or something like that, we try and work with the DPW in the assessor's office. And they try and, you know, give us a heads up, but it is difficult to keep up with a lot of this, but everybody does their best to try and let us know when there is an issue so that we can have the best route to wherever the emergency is. Yes.
Want the people at home to know.
Okay.
The people at home.
I had an occasion to have an ambulance ride this summer. I fell. Luckily, my daughter and son-in-law were with me. But my watch notified 911. They were there. Normally, I'm alone.
Yeah.
Normally, I'd be locked in my house and nobody knows how to get in. So I need, you mentioned a lockbox last month, and I need to let somebody know the combination to my garage. How do I do that?
Well, I'll answer a little bit of it, and I'm gonna let Craig finish up, because the fire prevention personnel are also responsible for this type of issue. But I would say that if you have what they call a Knox box, which is, and I'll let Craig, give a little more information, but the Knox box not only allows us to put keys in there that'll get us into your home, it also, if you had a combination lock, we can put a little piece of paper in there, as long as it doesn't get wet and disappear, maybe laminate it, and put it in there, and that'll allow our personnel to have that. The trick to a Knox box is that the keys or any information in there has to be current. If you put it in there 10 years ago and you've changed your lock, and we run into this with commercial businesses all the time. They change hands, and we go there, and it's their responsibility to let us know, and we'll go there and we'll have like 15 keys in the box, and not one single key opens up a door. So if we have to get in a building, including a home, how do you think we get in? Yeah, we'll try and minimize the damage as much as we can, but we will get into your house. And as Boyd just said, we're very good at it, and we are. So I would say that, so Craig can kind of go a little further into that.
There we go. We do have a program with the Knox box, named after Lake Fort Knox, that we partner with the senior center. We unfortunately do not have a supply of boxes for loaning out anymore because the program has been so successful. I think we have our last 8 boxes that we have scheduled to be installed this week. So there is a program through the senior center. They also have the information if you wanted to purchase one. There's a couple different options. We are actually, Lauren and I were just talking before this about our avenues about trying to get some more, because this program is well needed and very popular, on how we can get a supply of more of these Knox boxes. You can actually purchase them. I'll just do a very quick overview of the system. All the apparatus, the fire engines, the ambulances, have a Knox boxes that are secured. They have keys that are secured in the vehicle. Every person in the fire department has a code, their own specific code, to release that lock. And that releases the key that allows us to get into the Knox boxes that are on homes across the town, plus almost every single building, including this one. So the fire department is the only one that has access to the key, and it is a secure system. We do have ways to know when somebody took a key out, when it was returned, and it's a great system. Unfortunately, it's not the least expensive system that we have, but it is very secure. These boxes get mounted for a residential, we'll come and mount them on your house and put the key in. As the chief said, the weakness in this whole system is having the correct keys in there. The recent fire on Main Street, the only key that was in there was from 3 or 4 businesses ago. One that hadn't been there in 10, 12 years. So that was not helpful for us. So if you have any other questions, you can contact the senior center with that program. And then, like I said, we're actively trying to get more of these boxes into the system.
I came specifically to find out about this service.
Okay.
So we can sign up to.
We do, and Lauren has a list, and we've been going through the list. We've been getting some from people that have purchased them for their family members. Have purchased them previously, or the family member no longer needs it, that they've donated to the project. But we just have a finite number of these locks in Knox boxes. Yes, and they are available. You can purchase for yourself. If, like I said, we do have a waiting list for the ones in the program.
If you need it immediately, and then you will.
Yeah, regardless of which way it is you would contact the fire prevention, and we will come out and install it and then put the key in.
So I also would assume that you want to make sure that they have the right type of box, and that's where we can help.
Yes.
As to which one you should purchase.
There are two boxes, one that can hold a few keys, and then there is one that takes one key only, not a key ring. So if you have a deadbolt and a regular key lock, as long as they have the same key and you don't lock your screen door, then the one key option is a good option. Okay, now this one's working again.
Okay, I'll keep it short then. My alarm company sent me a list, a format that I supply to the police department about neighbors that have keys and access. And so I just wonder if that information is shared in common or accessed by the fire department if they happen to have an emergency call at my house.
I guess I have both microphones, so I'll answer this one too. Our dispatchers are the same as the police dispatchers. There are two dispatchers that sit next to each other, and we share a common dispatch software. So any information that they have, that we will have also.
So if I don't do any of what you've been talking about, you won't axe my front door before you check that list and get in touch with my neighbor.
It depends. It would depend, because one, we would have to be able to get in touch with your neighbors, and two, it depends on what it's for. The police, normally that has to do with that if you have a burglar alarm go off. You know, they'll walk around and then don't see if there isn't any windows or doors broken, then they might check with the neighbors. But if we get a call that you're down on the floor, we may not waste time trying to get in contact with your neighbors.
So I wasn't going to ask this one, but since Tim threw down the gauntlet, I'm going to pick it up here. So I heard you say under other hazards that if there was water coming into your house, that, that's classified as a call for other hazards. But when my water heater was leaking, I called my plumber. Do you actually respond to calls with that kind of issue in a home?
We do respond. There's a limited amount of what we can do. If we can safely get into your basement and secure the water, either to the hot water heater or to the water coming in. If not, then we will contact the water department, and they will come and shut the water off to the structure. And if we have 3 feet of water, it's not safe for anyone to go in there if the water and the power is all in the same area. Those two things don't mix very well. And just because you brought it up beforehand, make sure you have numbers that are visible from the street. Your address, house numbers on your house. Because you brought that up.
I have a combo lockbox on my front door. In it is the front door key and also how to disarm the alarm system. Usually, if we have an emergency, I will call a neighbor and say, make sure that the fire department has that information before they knock down the door so they can access the lockbox. But my question is there one person in the whole system that I could give that information to so that they would
know how to utilize the lockbox. It's a combo box.
That's a tough one. Again, I think what Lieutenant O'Malley referred to is by providing that information to the police department, so it's put in a central computer, so that they have what is considered, contact information. Police, because of over the years, their ability to kind of have this contact information, especially for banks and commercial buildings and things like that, they have a pretty good database. Fire department's a different story because of what you're saying here, which is, most people put combination locks or Knox boxes on their home for medical purposes. And so over the years, that's is more frequent. What generally happens is if somebody calls us, they might be in their bedroom and they can't get to the door. They'll tell the dispatcher, if they can, listen, I've got a combination lock, and to get in, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and they'll relay that to the ambulance crew. Generally, they'll have them call on their cell phone so that we're not blasting it, because I'm sure everybody's listening to us. And they'll try and do it as best as they can. It is helpful that if a neighbor saw us there, that they could go and provide that information as well for us. It's not an easy answer for anybody that, I know a lot of people go out of their way to have different types of, locking mechanisms that you can get at Ace Hardware or Lowe's or Home Depot, and then put them up there and think that we're gonna know it. It's very difficult to keep up with that. We don't have a list. We don't have a lot of that in the database. It's just, however, the information does get to us generally by neighbors and such. So probably didn't totally answer it, but we'll get you.
And just a quick follow-up.
Yeah.
Our first option, if the front door doesn't open, we don't immediately go to Axe. We'll check out the doors, we'll check windows before we break stuff. Just so
Yeah. Like I said, we'll get in, but there are other ways that we can kind of limit, the damage to your home.
So, but consistency with your protocols and safety, the Knox box that is keyed for the fire department would be your key. I mean, think about how many residents we have, and they're trying to give out combinations or different keys. That's too much. So this is their program of how to safely get into your home. It's consistent. So again, if you need to know what type of model, we can help you with that, and then the fire department will install it. Okay.
And just very quick, the Falmouth Fire Department only has keys to the ones that are in Falmouth. So if you were to order one, you have to make sure that you say the Falmouth, Massachusetts, because we have had boxes and locks that have come in that come to find out we're Falmouth, Maine, because MA and ME are very close to each other. So that's very important, but if you order it through the Knox company website, it actually forces you to choose the correct one.
So we'll take one more question, and then we need to wrap it up.
In the day of internet being hacked and so forth, how secure is your communication where we're giving numbers, and is it something that can be hacked?
Well, not being an IT person, but just reading and seeing the news all the time, I don't think we're completely isolated from having something like that happen. However, we have our IT department, which is working on this all the time to provide more enhanced cybersecurity, and there are things that are being done to try and enhance that, and it will be more so in time, because it's becoming a problem for everybody. So we do have some good security, but I wouldn't want to sit here and tell you it's 100% guaranteed, especially if you bank. How many people here have gotten notices from any of their credit card companies or Home Depot or CVS and said, oh, by the way, we had 1 million people breached the other day, keep an eye out for things. So it's a new world that we live in, but I just wanted to just finalize it. I just wanted, besides T's and Peter, I just want to thank everybody again for your ongoing support for my department and our personnel, whether it's town meeting or at the ballot. to continue to look out for the public safety side of the town's services. It's very important. Things are changing all the time, but you know, we greatly respect, you know, what's been done to assist us, and it's also something that we don't forget. So I just want to, you know, say that, you know, we look out for our personnel. We want to make sure that they're safe and they're able to do their jobs, and by supporting them, you're giving them all the tools that they need to safely respond and take care of each of you and your families. And again, you know, any questions, concerns, or anything, you certainly can get a hold of us. You can contact Jill. You know, fire prevention division is very robust, and they work with building services. And if you have a question, we can get an answer. But again, thank you very much for the opportunity to be able to sit here and talk with you and to provide some information. And we hope to do it again soon. So be safe, and thank you very much. Appreciate it.